Namaskar, Jai Shri Krishna. Illuminating text 26, text 27 and text 28 of chapter 13, Dhritarashtra quits home of first canto creation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 26. Gata swartha mi mama deham virakto mukta bandhanah avidnyata gatir jahayat sa vai dhira udarutah. He is called undisturbed who goes to an unknown remote place and freed from all obligations, quits his material body when it has become useless. Narottam Das Thakur, a great devotee and Acharya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava sect, has sung, "My Lord, I have simply wasted my life. Having obtained the human body, I have neglected to worship your lordship and therefore I have willingly drunk poison." In other words, the human body is especially meant for cultivating knowledge of devotional service to the Lord, without which life becomes full of anxieties and miserable conditions. Therefore, one who has spoiled his life without such cultural activities is advised to leave home without knowledge of friends and relatives, and being thus freed from all obligations of family, society, country, etc., give up the body at some unknown destination so that others may not know where and how he has met his death. Dhir means one who is not disturbed even when there is sufficient provocation. One cannot give up a comfortable family life due to his affectionate relation with wife and children. Self-realization is obstructed by such undue affection for family, and if anyone is at all able to forget such a relation, he is called undisturbed or dhir. This is, however, the path of renunciation based on a frustrated life. But stabilization of such renunciation is possible only by association with bona fide saints and self-realized souls, by which one can be engaged in the loving devotional service of the Lord. Sincere surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is possible by awakening the transcendental sense of service. This is made possible by association with pure devotees of the Lord. Dhritarashtra was lucky enough to have a brother whose very association was a source of liberation for this frustrated life. Text 27. यह स्वकात परतो वेह जात निर्वेद आत्मवान हृदि कृत्वा हरिम गेहात प्रव्रजेत स नरोत्तमः. He is certainly a first-class man who awakens and understands either by himself or from others the falsity and misery of this material world, and thus leaves home and depends fully on the personality of Godhead residing within his heart. There are three classes of transcendentalists, namely, first, the dhir or the one who is not disturbed by being away from family association. Second, one in the renounced order of life, a sannyasi by frustrated sentiment. And third, a sincere devotee of the Lord who awakens God consciousness by hearing and chanting and leaves home depending completely on the personality of Godhead who resides in his heart. The idea is that the renounced order of life after a frustrated life of sentiment in the material world may be the stepping stone on the path of self-realization, but real perfection on the path of liberation is attained when one is practiced to depend fully on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who lives in everyone's heart as Paramatma. One may live in the darkest jungle alone out of home, but a steadfast devotee knows very well that he is not alone. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is with him, and he can protect his sincere devotee in any awkward circumstance. One should therefore practice devotional service at home, hearing and chanting the holy name, quality form, pastimes, entourage, etc. in association with pure devotees, and this practice will help one awaken God consciousness in proportion to one's sincerity of purpose. One who desires material benefit by such devotional activities can never depend on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he sits in everyone's heart. Nor does the Lord give any direction to persons who worship him for material gain. Such materialistic devotees may be blessed by the Lord with material benefits, but they cannot reach the stage of the first-class human being as mentioned here. There are many examples of such sincere devotees in the history of the world, especially in India, and they are our guides on the path of self-realization. Mahatma Vidur is one such great devotee of the Lord, and we should all try to follow in his lotus footsteps for self-realization. Text 28. Atho disham yatu स्वैरज्ञात गतिर भवान punsam guna vikarshanaha. Please therefore leave for the north immediately without letting your relatives know, for soon that time will approach which will diminish the good qualities of men. One can compensate for a life of frustration by becoming a dheer or leaving home for good without communicating with relatives, and Vidur advised his eldest brother to adopt this way without delay, because very quickly the age of Kali was approaching. A conditioned soul is already degraded by the material association, and still in the Kali Yuga, the good qualities of a man will deteriorate to the lowest standard. He was advised to leave home before Kali Yuga approached, because the atmosphere which was created by Vidur, his valuable instruction on the facts of life, would fade away due to the influence of the age which was fast approaching. To become Narottama, or a first-class human being depending completely on the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, is not possible for any ordinary man. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.28 that a person who is completely relieved of all taints of sinful acts can alone depend on the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Dhritarashtra was advised by Vidur at least to become a dheer in the beginning, if it were impossible for him to become a sannyasi or a narottama. Persistently endeavoring on the line of self-realization helps a person to rise to the conditions of a narottama from the stage of a dheer. The dheer stage is attained after prolonged practice of the yoga system, but by the grace of Vidur, one can attain the stage immediately simply by willing to adopt the means of the dheer stage, which is the preparatory stage for sannyas. The sannyas stage is the preparatory stage of Paramhansa, or the first great devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna.